Good evening all. My name is Rammohan Kanchi. I have been giving software training for thousands of students on various technologies and programming languages like SQL, Java, Python, front-end technologies, web technologies, and so on, etc. Today, I am going to give demo on SQL language. Okay, right, fine. To learn any concept very easily, just you need to think about three words. One is why, and second one is what, and third one is how. Why you learn that particular concept, what is it, and how to implement it. Okay, if you know answer for these three questions, then you are able to learn any language, anything very easily. Moreover, one point I need to tell you people, what is that? To learn any concept, basics are very important. Without basics, it is not possible to learn anything perfectly. Okay? For example, if you want to write a novel, a big novel in English, first of all, you must know alphabets. Am I right? Without knowing about alphabets, is it possible to write in English? No. In the similar manner, anywhere, basics are very important. So, in today's class, my agenda is what is SQL? What is SQL? Okay. What is the need of learning SQL? Okay. Just a minute. So I will tell you everything. You people don't bother about anything. I am going to enable chat box. At the end of the class, you will ask any query. Okay. I stay after class, no issue. Keep your doubts in your brain. At the end of the session, I am going to enable chat box. Okay. I will give clarity for every question asked by you people. Okay. Right. Listen here. Now I am going to explain what is SQL. What is the need of SQL? What are the opportunities we are getting if you learn SQL? Okay. Today's my agenda is, first of all, I am starting from scratch level. At the end of the session, 1000% you people will get clarity. What is SQL? What is the need of learning SQL? Okay. So what is variable? What is file? Okay. What are the limitations with file? What is database? What is DBMS and the different types of DBMS softwares? What is SQL language? And the key point in SQL, history of SQL, SQL sublanguages. So various career opportunities in SQL. If you learn SQL, so what are the career opportunities? Okay, right. So, and finally, I am going to give conclusion. Okay, this is agenda of today's class. Okay, right. Before going to start our session, one more thing I want to show you people. So that is this is the course content. Okay. So introduction to DBMS, why we need a DBMS, and so on, etc. So this particular course concept is shared to you people after class through WhatsApp group. Okay, not a issue. Of course, at the end of the session, once again, I am showing you people. Okay, not a issue. Right. Okay, fine. Now I am going to start the session. Right. Sir, computer consists of two types of memory. Am I right? Computer consists of how many types of memory? Two types of memory. Okay. One is temporary memory and another one is permanent memory. Sir, what is the example for temporary memory? RAM, random access memory, is the example for temporary memory. What is the example for permanent memory? Hard disk. Hard disk is the example for permanent memory. Sir, what is the difference between temporary memory and permanent memory? It's very simple. If you store your application data in temporary memory location, you cannot use the data in future. Am I right? But if you store your data in permanent memory location like hard disk, you can use the data in future also. Suppose your requirement is you want to use your data in future also, then you need to store in which memory location? Obviously, permanent memory location. If you are not interested to use the data in future, time being, instantly you want to use the data. At that time, you are going to store your data in temporary memory location. Okay, right. Sir, I think you people learn already know familiar with C language, C++ language, and Java language. So those the people who knows about C, C++, Java, so they are already familiar with the word variable. Sir, what is variable? Variable is a memory location or storage location. It is used to store the data. Okay, if you want to store the data, you will use variable. But if you create variable, that variable is going to create in RAM memory. RAM is nothing but temporary memory. Here the conclusion is variables are created in temporary memory location, means RAM memory location. Okay, right. Sir, what is file? File is also a memory location or storage location. It is also used to store the data. Okay, so if you are creating a file, then that file is created in permanent memory location, nothing but hard disk. Okay, so now you people tell me what is the difference between variable and file. It's very simple. Variable is a memory location, file is also memory location. Variable stores data, file also stores data. But if you create variable, that variable is going to create in temporary memory location, RAM. If you create a file, then that file is going to create in permanent memory location, hard disk. Okay, up to now clear? Okay, fine. So here the conclusion is, if you store your program data in variables, that will be lost. Why? What is the reason? Because variables are created in RAM, nothing but temporary memory location. So after your program execution is completed, variables are going to deleted. So your data will be gone. Okay. If you store your program data in the files, that will not be lost. Why? What is the reason? Even though your program execution is completed, your data will not be lost. So what is the reason for that? Because files are created in which memory location? Hard disk. Hard disk. So if you store your program data in file, that will not be lost after your program execution is completed. So you can use the data multiple times. You can use the data multiple times in future also. You can also use the data in multiple applications also. Okay. So here I am going to give final conclusion about file and variable. Okay. Suppose your requirement is you want to use your data in future also. You need to store it in permanent memory location, nothing but in hard disk. In that situation, you need to create a file. Okay, because files are created in hard disk. Okay, right. Okay, fine. Now Now, suppose my requirement is definitely I am going to store our data in permanent memory location like hard disk, because I want to store the data in future also. So we can work with variables or files, obviously files, but there are some disadvantages or limitations with files. Sir, what are the limitations or disadvantages with files? Files cannot store large amount of data. Okay, if you want to store huge amount of data, it is not possible to store in a file. Okay, and there is no query language support for files. Immediately, one question is generated in our brain. Sir, what is meant by query language? At this point, you need not to worry about query language. Okay, so at the end of the session, at the end of the session, I will give clarity about what is query language. Okay, at this point, just you remember, files doesn't contain any query language support. At this point, you don't think about what is query language. I am there to clarify that particular thing. Okay, now my requirement is I want to merge the data of two files. Is it possible? Yes, we can. It is possible to merge the or to combine the data of two files, but it is very complex process. We need to write logics. Okay, so this is another disadvantage. This is another disadvantage. Now my requirement is I want to suppose there is a file, that file contains some records or some data. I want to retrieve that data. I want to retrieve specific data. I want to for that I am going to search for that data. Okay, yes, we can search, but it is also very difficult or complex process. Okay, these are the some of the major limitations with files. Come again. So if you want to store data permanently in hard disk, then go with files. But there are some limitations with files. What are those? Files cannot store large amount of data, and there is no query language support for files. At this point, don't think about query language. I will take care about it later. If you want to merge or combine data of two files, yes, possible, but it is very complex process, difficult process. Okay, and if you want to retrieve the data from the file, if you want to search the specific data in a file, it is also possible, but it is also complex process. So files are not recommended to store data permanently in hard disk. Sir, then what is the solution? So the solution is database. What is the solution? Database. Sir, what is database? Okay, I will give you clarity for everything at the end. Okay, could you please provide an example for retrieving data from a file? Listen here, you need to write C language code, you need to write C++ language code, you need to write Java code. Okay, you must know all these things if you want to retrieve the data from the files. That is the problem with files. Okay, is it clear? So you need to write logics in order to retrieve the data from the files. Okay, you need to write tons of logic based on your requirement. So everyone facing the problem. What is that problem? Writing logic. That is the major drawback with files. Okay, right. So what is the solution? Database. Sir, what is database? Listen carefully. I am entering more deeply. Listen carefully. Sir, what is database? Database is a software. Database is the solution for files. Okay, means database also stores our data in computer hard disk permanently. Then what is the difference between files and database? Okay, first of all, you must know about what is database, then you will get clarity. So how database overcome the drawbacks with files? Okay, right. Database is a software. Okay, what is database? Database is a software. What is the use of database software? It is used to store our data in computer hard disk permanently. Okay, and also allows us to perform operations on the data. Once again, I am repeating, database is nothing but a software. What is the use of database software? It is used to store our data where in a permanent memory location like hard disk. Not only it stores data, it allows us to perform operations, different kinds of operations on the data. So the operations which are performed on the data of database software are called as CORD operations. Okay. So the operations which are performed by us on the data that is stored in database software are called as CORD operation. Sir, here immediately one question is generated. What is that? Sir, what is meant by CORD? C means create, U means update, R means retrieve, D means delete. Okay. So at this point, I am not going to tell about CORD. Okay. So I will take care about it later. Just two doubts, only two doubts. What is the first one? Files does not contain any query language support. That is first doubt. Okay, I will clarify at the end of the session. And what is the second doubt? So what is meant by CORD operations? Okay, right. But at this point, you need to remember the different types of operations which are going to perform on the data that is stored in database software are called as CORD operations. Sir, then I hope everyone understands about what is database. Then what is RDBMS? What is RDBMS? It's very simple. RDBMS means relational database management system. RDBMS means what? Relational database management system. Immediately one question is generated in our brain. Sir, what is RDBMS? It's very simple. If any database stores data in the form of tables, okay? If any database stores data in the form of tables, then the database is called as RDBMS. Here relational means table, okay? Any database stores data in which format? Table format. Then that particular database is called RDBMS. Immediately one question is generated in your brain. Sir, what is table? Table is nothing but collection of rows and columns. Okay. What is table? Table means collection of rows and columns. Okay. Listen here. There are different types of RDBMS database software given by different companies. Like examples are Oracle, MySQL, Sybase, SQL Server, DB2, PostgreSQL, okay, SQLite, and so on, etc. All these are the RDBMS softwares. So these RDBMS softwares are provided by different software companies. For example, Oracle is an alternative for MySQL, Sybase, and so on, etc. MySQL is alternative for Oracle, Sybase, SQL Server, and so on, etc. Okay. If you want to store your data in computer hard disk permanently, if you want to perform operations on the data, okay, you need to install any one of these RDBMS softwares. Okay. So why? Because all these are the alternatives given by different software companies. For example, I am going to give a simple example. Suppose ECE, EEE, and CSE. What are these? These are the various branches available in BTech. You people tell me, a particular student is able to choose or able to join all these three branches at a time? All these branches? No, not possible. Why? Because CSE is alternative for EC and EEE. ECE is alternative for CSE and EEE. Okay? And EEE is alternative for CSE and ECE. So these three are the BTech branches. Okay, you can select, or a particular student can select any one in order to finish BTech course. Okay, in the similar manner, if you want to store your data in computer hard disk permanently in the form of tables, you can use any one of these database software. Okay, as the part of our course, I am going to tell about MySQL. Okay, fine. Now, listen here. I am going to give more clarity about what is table. Okay, so here what is RDBMS? RDBMS means it is a database which stores data in the form of tables. Table means rows and columns. So for better understanding purpose, to give more clarity about what is table, how RDBMS stores data in the form of table, I am going to explain with a perfect diagram. Okay, right. Listen here. Any database is diagrammatically represented like this. Okay. For example, here I am having a database. Database software. Okay. So I am explaining. I want to explain it with some example. Okay. Suppose my requirement is I want to store student details. I want to store student details in database. What is my requirement? I want to store student details in database software. First of all, you need to decide which details you want to. Student contains lot of details. Am I right? There are so many details belongs to student. So first of all, you need to decide which details you want to store in the database. Okay. Suppose in my example, I am going to store the student details like student number, student name, and student address. Okay. This is my requirement. I want to store student number, student name, and student address. Listen here. If you are able to store at least one detail in database, then you are able to store all the details, any number of details in the database software. Okay. In my example, I am going to store 3 details like student number, student name, student address. Okay. If you know how to store student number, student name, student address, then you are able to store remaining details like mobile number, email ID, okay, father name, mother name, branch, and so on, etc. Okay, right. Come on. In my example, I am going to store how many details? 3 details: student number, student name, and the student address. Okay, right. So for that, I need to create one table with 3 columns. How many columns? 3 columns. Here I am giving table name as student. Sir, don't think how to create table, all these things. Okay. If you learn SQL, then you are able to create table, everything, and so on, etc. Okay. So first of all, create a table with the name student. With how many columns? 3 columns. Like SNO, SNAME, SADD. Okay. 3 columns: SNO, SADD, SADD. Right. Like this. Sir, here one point you need to notice. Here SNO, SNAME, and SADD. These three are called columns. What we call? Columns. Columns. So one point you need to, one very, very important point you need to notice, the number of columns to be created in a table depends on number of details you want to store in the table. Okay, once again I am repeating. What's the point? The number of details, the number of details, the number of details, or the number of columns, the number of columns, the number of columns to be created, the number of columns to be created in a table, depends on number of details you want to store in the table. You want to store in the table. Okay, you want to store in the table. So it is very, very important point. Now I hope you people able to tell the answer. Okay, so notice this point. The number of columns to be created in a table depends on the number of details you want to store in the table. Am I right? Suppose here I am going to store three details: SNO, SNAME, SADD. So you need to create how many columns? 3 columns. Suppose my requirement is I want to store student mobile number also. Okay, mobile number, department name. How many columns I need to create? 5 columns. SNO, SNAME, SADD, mobile number, branch. Okay, suppose I want to store some age also. Then you need to create 6 columns. Okay, right. Obviously, very good. So now I am storing some data in this particular table. Suppose here I am storing data like student number 111, student name AAA, and address Khammam, and 112 BBB HYD, 113 CCC some HYD. Like this, I am storing some data. Okay, like this, I am storing some data here. I am storing some data. So here, how many records I am storing? 3 records. You can store any number of records. So this is row 1, this is row 2, and this is row 3. So these 3 are called rows. Okay, these 3 are called what? Rows. Sir, rows represents what? Rows represents the data present in the table. So this is first row, and this is second row, and this is third row. Okay, so these 3 are called rows. So now you people tell me, column represents details to be stored, and rows represents data to be stored in the database. Okay, so column represents what? Details to be stored in a database. Okay, row represents data to be stored. Okay, now observe you people, here the data is stored in the form of rows and columns or not. So here you can say it is a RDBMS. Here you can say what? It is a RDBMS because it stores data in the form of rows and columns. Okay, is it perfectly clear? Right. Respond, is it perfectly clear, anyone? So here we are going to store data in the form of rows and columns. Okay, right. Okay, fine. Sir, here one more thing. So these are the columns and these are the rows. So columns are also called as fields or attributes. Fields or attributes. Okay, fields are attributes. Columns are also called as fields or attributes. Rows are also called records. Rows are also called records. So in this way, we are going to store the data in the database. Now you people, right, listen here, Manikanta, if you know SQL, then you can do. Okay, right. So I am starting from scratch level. Okay, I am starting from scratch level. Now you people tell me. How you decide number of columns to be created in the table? How you people decide number of columns? How you people decide number of columns to be created in the table? Right. Based on the details you want to store it in the table. Okay. Right. So rows represents data. Okay, fine. So, okay, fine. Now, listen here. Now my requirement is, suppose here I am having a database. Okay. RDBMS. Here I am having database or RDBMS software. Now you people tell me, this is which RDBMS? Is it Oracle or MySQL or Sybase? Right. It may be any RDBMS software. So who stores data in that particular RDBMS? User. Suppose here we have user. Okay. We have user. So user stores data in RDBMS. Okay. User can update the data that is stored in RDBMS. User can retrieve the data from the RDBMS database software. Okay. So user can store the data in RDBMS software. User can retrieve the data from the RDBMS software. If user want, he delete the data in the RDBMS database software. If user want, he update the data in the RDBMS software. So various operations are performed on the data of RDBMS software. So to perform all these things, there must be communication. So there must be what? Communication between user and RDBMS software or database software. Okay. There must be communication or interaction between user and RDBMS software. I think you people know, for communication, what we need? We need some language. That language is nothing but SQL. What is the language name? SQL. Okay. So just I am repeating again. User stores data in RDBMS. User retrieves the data from RDBMS. User updates the data in RDBMS. User deletes the data in RDBMS. For that, there must be communication or interaction between user and database software. For communication, we need a language. That language is nothing but SQL. Right. Now you people tell me, what is SQL? SQL means structured query language. Okay. SQL means what? Structured query language. Just like C language, Java language, Python language. SQL is also language. What is the abbreviation of SQL? Structured query language. What is the use of SQL? SQL is a language which provides communication between user and any database software. Like Oracle, MySQL, Sybase, and so on, etc. And so on, etc. Okay. Suppose by using SQL, you can interact with any database software. Okay. By using SQL, you can interact with any database software. In simple manner, if you want to talk with Telugu people, you must know Telugu language. If you want to talk with Tamil person, you must know Tamil language. If you want to interact with the database software, you must know which language? SQL language. Okay. If you want to store your data in any RDBMS software, if you want to perform operations on that data, on the data of RDBMS software, you must know which language? SQL language. Okay. Sir, here one bigger question is generated in our brain. What is the difference between Oracle and SQL? What is the difference between MySQL and SQL? Okay. So this is the doubt of so many people. Now I am going to clarify it. Okay. Sir, if you know the difference between Oracle and SQL, then you are able to know the difference between MySQL and SQL. Okay. So what is the difference between Oracle and SQL? Oracle is not a language. Oracle is a RDBMS database software or simply database software. Okay. But SQL is a language. Okay. If you know SQL language, then you are able to store your data in Oracle database software. You are able to perform operations on the data that is stored in Oracle database software. Okay. Now, you people tell me what is the difference between MySQL and SQL? Sir, here MySQL contains SQL. So, SQL and MySQL both are same? No, it is 100% wrong. Okay. Right. MySQL is different from SQL. MySQL is not a language. MySQL is a database software. Okay. Whereas SQL is language. If you know SQL language, then you are able to store your data in MySQL database software. You are able to perform operations on the data that is stored in MySQL database software. Okay. Right. So there is no separate SQL to interact with Oracle, to interact with MySQL, Sybase, and so on, etc. There is only one SQL language. If you know SQL language, then you can interact with any database software like Oracle, MySQL, Sybase, and so on, etc. Okay, but here you need to notice one point. What is that? The syntax of SQL language may change a little bit based on the database software we used. Okay, so there may be small difference between the syntaxes. It depends on the database software we used. I hope everyone understand what is the difference between database softwares and SQL language. Okay, is it clear? Right. Next. Sir, now I am going to explain the key point in SQL. Okay, so what is the key point in SQL? SQL contains all queries or commands. Okay, SQL contains what? Queries and commands. Each and every query contains some specific use. If you know use of particular query and how to use that query, then you will happily use that query to fulfill your requirement. Okay. So what is the key point in SQL? SQL contains what? Queries or commands. Okay. So SQL is nothing but queries, full of queries. Queries are also called commands. So each and every query contains what? Some specific use. Okay. If you know what is the use of that query, what is the syntax of that query, then you will happily use that query in order to fulfill your requirement. What you can do with SQL? So SQL can create table. By using SQL, you can store data in the table. By using SQL, you can retrieve data from the table. By using SQL, you can update or modify data in the table. Okay. SQL can delete the data in the table. Okay. Sir, I already told you people, in SQL, to perform any task, we need one query. So to create a table, we need one query. That query is nothing but create query. To store data in the table, we need one query. What is that query? Insert query. Okay. To retrieve data from the table, we need select query. To update data from the table, you need update query. You delete the data from the table, delete query. Sir, create, insert, select, update, delete. All these are queries present in SQL language. If you know what is the use of create query and what is the syntax of create query, how to use create query, then you can happily create table. Okay. If you know the how to use the insert query, you can happily store your data in the table of database software. If you know how to use select query, you can retrieve the data from the table like this. If you know purpose of any query, then you are able to perform operations on the data that is stored in the database of database software, in the data of database software. Here, the conclusion is learning SQL is nothing but learning queries. Okay. Working with SQL means working with SQL means writing or preparing queries to perform operations on the database software. Okay. If you don't know SQL, then you are not able to store your data in database software. Right? So this is about SQL. Okay. Come on, tell me. Without knowing basics, how I can teach you people who directly queries? Right? Okay, fine. Okay, fine. So come on, tell me. What is the key point SQL? Key point in SQL? What is the key point? What is the key point in SQL? SQL contains? Respond. SQL contains what? Queries. Queries. Each and every query contains? Each and every query contains some specific purpose. Okay. If you know query and how to use that query, then you can happily use that query. Okay. Right. Obviously. Learning SQL is nothing but learning queries. Working with SQL means writing or preparing queries. So to perform operations on the database. Okay. So this is the key point in SQL. Okay. Right. As the part of SQL language, I will show you everything. So as the part of our course, I am going to work with MySQL. Okay. Every day I am going to show you with hands-on session. Okay. So in the next class, I am going to. So listen here. Listen here. Listen here. I am going to cover all these topics. Okay, just a minute. So I am going to explain you. I am going to explain you how to create tables, how to store data in the tables, how to modify tables data, where advanced topics also, Windows functions, joins, comments, views, indexes, all these things. Okay, all these things. All these things. Okay, Rome was not built in a day. Okay, right. So I am going to give you assignments, and I am also providing SQL interview questions. Okay, so all these things going to cover during our course. Okay, is it clear? Right. So 5 weeks. 5 weeks interview questions. Yes, obviously. Normalization, views, indexes, everything will be covered. Stored procedures. Okay. Yes, after class I will share you. So this is SQL course. So all these three details will be shared by our team. Okay. I am going to cover SQL from A to Z. Okay, SQL A to Z, fees details, everything, everything, everything will be discussed by our team after class. Okay, right. Currently there is a offer. Okay. So listen here, you people need not to worry. Okay. So you can join at just 999 rupees. That offer is presently running. Okay. Listen carefully. In this course, I will teach you how to interact with MySQL database software using SQL language. For that, I will show you how to install MySQL database software and how to open MySQL database software, how to write the queries, okay, how using SQL, and how to manipulate or perform operations on the MySQL database software. I will show you everything, each and everything practically with proofs. Okay, don't worry about SQL. Just to do practice after the class. Right, all these things will be discussed by our team. I will share the number. Okay. So listen here. Don't think about. Don't think about. Don't think about how to install MySQL in today's class. But I am going to show you how to how MySQL environment is there. Okay. So if you install MySQL, so the MySQL latest version is 8.0. Okay, if you install MySQL 8.0, then one workbench will come to your computer. So that is MySQL workbench. Okay, it shows like this. I am going to show you. So where you are writing programs. Okay, this is MySQL workbench. Okay, so if you click on this particular thing, it asks you password. In order to open MySQL, you need to give password. So this password is given by me at the time of installing MySQL. Okay, and then click on OK. Okay, so listen here. So don't think all these things. I will show you everything. Okay, in our daily class. But for idea purpose, now I am going to show you people. So here I am creating a database like college. Okay, that college contains tables like this. Okay, so at this point, don't think how to create all these things. I will show you every day. Okay, for example, there is EMP table or some student table. Okay, so like this, here we have student table. So it contains three columns: ID, name, address. Okay, if you want to see the data that is present in student table, we will write the query like this. So I already told you people, select query is used to retrieve the data from the table. Okay, if you execute this particular query, so just a minute, first of all you need to switch into database. So use college. Okay, execute. Now if you write like this, select star from student, select star from student. So click here. So student table contains ID, name, address. Okay, right. So Is it clear? Don't think how to create all these things. Right, obviously. Okay, we will write queries. So SQL is nothing but learning about queries. Okay, so I will show you from scratch level. I will show you from scratch level. I will show you from scratch level. So don't bother about how to create college database, how to create tables, how to create all these tables. Okay. So in our daily class, I will show you practically. Okay. Right. So listen here. Listen here. Okay, fine. Listen here. Now, you people no need to about anything. Okay. I'm here. You don't fear. Okay. So, but don't think, don't try to learn all things in this day. Okay. That is the problem. That is the problem. Okay. So, okay, fine. Okay, fine. Just I am going to tell only one thing. Last one in today's class. So, what is that? So, come on, you people tell me. Is it right? So, listen here. So, listen here. There are different career opportunities. Different career opportunities if you learn SQL language. So, these are the some of the career opportunities. So, a database administrator, you can work as a database administrator, data analyst, data scientist. So you people, I think you people know about this thing. So internet usage is more and more. Am I right? There is a lot of internet usage. Okay. So because of internet usage, lot of data is generated. Okay. So you need to analyze the data. Okay. In order to get the insights, based on that insights, business will be developed. Okay. At today's present market, data scientist and data analyst play crucial role. Okay. So if as a data analyst or data scientist, you must know about SQL language. Okay. And business intelligence developer. So it's very simple. So these are the various career opportunities if you learn SQL language. So as a database administrator, you are responsible for managing and maintaining databases. Okay. As a data analyst or as a data scientist, okay, you need to query and analyze data stored in database. So you need to retrieve the data from the databases and perform complex calculations and generate reports to fulfill business needs. Okay. As a as a business intelligence developer, you need to analyze and visualize SQL skills are required for querying data from the database. You need to create reports. Okay, listen here. Instead of theory, so the diagram shows many things very easily. Okay, you need to draw graphs. You need to draw charts, etc., and so on, etc., from the data. Okay, so that data you need to retrieve from the database software. So as a software developer or engineer. Listen here, you people know about who is called end user. End user is nothing but he is the end user is nothing but he don't know how to develop any application. Okay, he don't know how to develop the application. He know how to use the application. Okay, how to use the application. He's nothing but computer operator. For example, listen here. Every language must take the support of SQL language. I am going to show you a real life example. Okay. So for example, as a end user means he doesn't know anything. Okay. He doesn't know C, C++, Java and so on, etc. Okay. He doesn't know anything, but he knows how to operate the applications, how to operate the computer. As a end user, if you want to create Facebook account, you open this particular front end, and if you click on this particular create new account, you are giving data and you are giving sign up button. Then your data is going to store in which place? Database maintained by Facebook company. Am I right? Okay. So this particular Facebook is developed by using PHP. Okay, if you click on sign up button, then one PHP program will be executed. That PHP interacts with the MySQL database software. Okay, so your PHP program internally, the data is passed from end user to PHP program. That PHP program, taking the support of SQL queries, it stores the data in database software. Okay, stores the data in database software. So here, that particular Facebook application data is stored, the customer's details or client's details stored inside the database maintained by the Facebook. Am I right? Facebook. In the similar manner, if you create a Gmail account, then the data is stored in the database that is maintained by Gmail. Okay, if you are going to a bank, okay, if you are going to a bank and you store and you fill application form, then bank employees stores your data in their computer. Okay, that data is also stored in the bank database. Am I right? So like this, wherever you go, like this, wherever you go, database follows. Am I right? Wherever you go, database follows. Am I right? So wherever you go, database is followed. Okay, is it clear? Okay, fine. So these are the various career opportunities. So Java, with Java, you can interact with database software. Okay, software developers or engineers must use SQL language. So data engineers build and maintain data pipelines that collect, process, and stores data for analysis. Okay, IT consultants, data quality analysts, all these are the various career opportunities if you learn SQL language. Okay, so finally here I am going to conclude with one word. So that is some people pronounces SQL as SQL. Am I right? Is it right? Calling SQL as SQL? Is it right? SQL, some people pronounces SQL as SQL. SEQL. Yes, we can happily call that. Okay. So listen here. There are two types of languages. There are two types of languages. One is procedure oriented languages and another one is declarative languages. Okay, SQL is declarative language. So what is the difference between procedure language and declarative language? Procedure language is nothing but C, C++, all these are the procedure oriented languages. Okay, So, but whereas SQL is declarative language. So what is the difference? In procedure oriented language, we need to tell what to do and how to do. Okay. Whereas in declarative language, we just tell what to do. No need to tell how to do it. Okay. So SQL is procedural language or declarative language? SQL is declarative language. Here you just tell what to do. No need to tell how to do. Okay. So just suppose, for example, I want to know the name of the student belongs to Delhi. For that, just you need to write some query like select star from student where address equal to Delhi. Okay, you need not to bother about how to do particular task. Okay, right. So that's it. So finally I am going to tell one thing. So if you know SQL language, then only you are able to interact with database software. Otherwise, you are not able to interact with database software. Okay, that's it. So any queries? Is it clear? Need of SQL language? Respond.